Today, I'm looking forward to sharing with you one amazingly simple strategy to bring peace and calm to your nerves and calm to your family when your child has ADHD. I'm Veronica with ADHD What Now, and I help parents to determine the broad range of choices available to them when their child has ADHD because each person is unique and each family is unique. This strategy, though, can be good for anybody and everybody. And it's something that I didn't believe in, nor had I actually encountered in everyday life with the practitioners and the people that I had spoken with in person. So enjoy, and I will see you at the end. Today, we have with us Jennifer Green, and she is a mindfulness and wellness expert who is going to share with us a little bit about the impact of mindfulness practice on people, on humans, and what that means. Jennifer is also author of the book that you can see in the background there, Breathe Like Gwendolyn. I have it too, The Magical Gentle Dragon. And my kids really enjoyed reading that. So that's why I was prompted to reach out to Jennifer and find out what she has to say more on the subject. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so excited to be able to support your community and help everyone have a more resilient and happy life through the practice of powerful healing breath and mindfulness.
Awesome. So I know you've shared with me a little bit about a story that had about what this practice has meant for one person and her family. Can you just share that with the audience as a whole?
Sure. So I've been I, I've been able to share these wonderful modalities of mindfulness practice for young and old alike, and there's a lot of really powerful stories. And this particular one that we were referring to is a few years ago. There was this amazing family, and I had been privileged to be the educator of this wonderful family, their children, and there were two boys. And one day, Mom came into my classroom and she informed me that her husband had passed away. This was a young family. Husband must have been around 40 years of age. And she sat down with me and informed me of what they had to deal with. And it was heartbreaking to hear this wonderful family, so full of love and so full of future dreams. Mom sitting there and having to share the struggles she was facing now, having lost the love of her life and having her two beautiful boys. I believe one was 5 at the time, the other one was about 8, and I actually happened to be educating both of them that year with different classes. So it was really an interesting situation and blessing to be able to help this family. And she asked me to support. She asked for any strategies that could be offered to help her children have a sense of norm in a world where chaos had arisen, and help support them so that they could have resiliency and better coping strategies, and also to help her because now she was alone and she was looking for community support. So it was a great honor to be able to sit down and help her children, and just support them when she was busy at work trying to make ends meet with her family. And during the time that I was with her children, I was able to give them that extra support and teach them those wonderful modalities, those strategies to help them. And the power of community and the power of mindfulness can really make a big difference. And throughout the weeks, throughout the months, I would meet with Mom and just kind of do a gentle report, and we'd share experiences and see what was working, what wasn't. And her children were thriving with these strategies. They were very simple strategies in a community setting, in a classroom setting with other children, and they were thriving. And she was relieved. She felt supported, and this made such a world of difference to her and to her children. And again, simple strategies, but yet so powerful. And there was a point where she came and she was filled with gratitude, just expressing her gratitude, knowing that she wasn't alone and that her children were thriving. And those are the kinds of stories that stay really dear to your heart, knowing that we've done something to help another community, another global family member, local family member get through these challenging times. And again, the power of mindfulness can really help with that. And that's an example.
So in your work with the family, they essentially learned also how to incorporate these types of mindfulness practices into their thinking patterns, right? Because that's my understanding is that's exactly what happens is you're kind of shifting the way your brain can approach a situation, right? Or the patterns inside of the brain. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much science now more than ever in terms of studying the benefits of mindfulness. And studies have shown that it literally changes the new neural pathways start to develop in our brain, and the executive function parts of our brain start to actually further develop when we start to practice mindfulness strategies on a regular basis. I mean, these are just some examples. It helps with emotional resiliency. It allows us to be more compassionate with ourselves and those around us. It helps us be calmer. It helps us self-regulate. These are all things, as you can see from that example that I gave, why this would be so important for those children going through such trauma, and how this would be so supportive to mom, because, you know, she would be dealing with this with two children who'd now lost their dear beloved father, and for herself, so that she could use these strategies. And they're so simple, like they don't have to be complicated or necessarily time consuming as some people might be concerned about. And just by implementing these strategies little bits at a time can make a world of difference in terms of that resilient and happy life and overcoming obstacles such as the one that we've just discussed.
Mm-hmm. So I know you were in a classroom environment, like you said, teaching kids, and that I'm assuming as a classroom teacher there, you had so many goals and objectives, educationally speaking, to meet for the kids. And yet you took the time to incorporate these mindfulness practices into the classroom as well. And what did you typically see as far as, like, say, at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year when the children had learned how to use mindfulness strategies as part of their day?
Magical, that's the word that comes up, and that's probably what partly inspired my book, you know, A Magical Journey with Gwendolyn. It is truly magical. I mean, at the beginning of the year you have these little bodies coming in, different personalities, and there's a bit of chaos, right? You have to make calm out of chaos. And one of the ways you start to do that is you build community, and you build a community of respect, compassion for each other, and just that's the first step. And one of the most powerful tools to get that going right away is a community that supports gratitude on a regular basis. And yes, practicing gratitude daily is a form of mindfulness practice in your daily activities. So by sitting down regularly with the children and having a community circle where we would sit down and say 2 or 3 things we're grateful for that day was incredibly empowering for the children. Because number one, a lot of children, some children are naturally eloquent and they communicate a great deal, but there are some that are incredibly shy and they're not sure how to communicate. So by having this gratitude circle, it's empowering because it allows them to express themselves. And as a whole, it allows the children to connect with their inner self and connect with their emotions and feelings and express that to others. So they learn to be better communicators. They learn to develop deeper, more meaningful relationships. They learn to be more grateful in their day, which makes them more joyous, which ultimately helps with behavior, and it helps just general well-being because they just feel happier and more resilient. So that's how we started off, and it became more and more empowering as time went on because the communication started to increase. The shy kids would want to express more of what they were feeling and what they experienced throughout their day. This was hugely empowering because it helped empower their self-esteem and gave them a voice to be able to share with others their innermost feelings and just their thoughts. And isn't it a beautiful place when, in a beautiful world, when we are empowered to be our best selves and share that with others? So that's, you know, I would say that's one of the most empowering tools that we set right away. And then we really saw progression, of incredible positive experiences as time went on. And by the end of the year, the communication piece was so much stronger overall as a community. And it wasn't just communication, it was the way they talked. It was kindness towards each other, compassion towards each other and to themselves. Again, so empowering to help children have more compassion for themselves, to love themselves more. Again, it ties into that self-esteem piece and that confidence piece that all, don't we all want this for our children, right? So that they can have their best life. So that's, I would say that would be, I mean, there's many more examples, but that is definitely one of the integral strategies that were implemented that showed really great progression and great results towards the end. Yeah.
That's awesome. As you're speaking, I'm thinking as a parent, that's what I want too, right? For my kids, I want us to have a culture inside of our family where they can enjoy each other and be kind to each other rather than sibling arguments and rivalry and all that can go along with that. So what a great strategy to include gratitude practice. And do you have a tip or a recommendation for how to get started, or what does that look like exactly?
So, if we're talking about what we can quickly implement into your daily practice, again, I'm going to go back to the Powerful Healing Breath, this storybook that I wrote. The Powerful Healing Breath can be used anywhere at any time, and we have it. It doesn't cost anything, and it's the essence of life. And when we can empower ourselves and our children to use our breath as a tool, a mindfulness tool, to help us get out of that fight or flight and come into rest and digest mode, that relaxation mode, that in itself is super powerful. And all it requires is a simple practice of learning to breathe properly. And there's many breathing strategies out there, but one of the best ones is to learn to belly breathe. And by simply, there's different ways of doing it. If we're sitting, simply rolling the shoulders back and down, tucking the chin in, lengthening the back of the neck, and having a nice, tall, relaxed spine is a good start. And then allowing your child and yourself, it's always good to do it together, by taking a deep breath in through the nose and exhaling and bringing it into a center, so slightly bringing it into oneself, so you're becoming more attuned to your emotions, your feelings, your breath, and you continue to breathe in and out for a few breaths. You then are ready to place your hands on your belly, and then as you continue to breathe in and out, you can start to notice if your belly is moving with your breath. Often what happens when what actually does happen when we're in the stress mode is we're not belly breathers at all, we're chest breathers. And so what happens is the belly tenses up, you're shallow breathing, and that just further perpetuates a stressful situation, a stressful feeling in the body. So by becoming aware of the belly and whether it's moving with breath, we can really hone into our body sensations and use that powerful healing breath to go deep into a state of calm, relaxation, and get out of that stress mode. And we can do this several times throughout the day to really help mitigate stress. And this can be a great tool for any age, and a great tool for moms and dads to incorporate with their children whenever you feel there's stress coming on, or just simply just wanting to feel better. So allowing that belly to relax and move like ebbs and flows of ocean waves as you inhale and exhale can make a huge difference in your overall sensations of well-being. So that would be definitely something I would recommend. Incorporate that several times throughout your day. Very powerful.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And then as you were speaking, I'm thinking to myself about how that description helps even more with what's in your book, right? Because you have examples to walk through in there with children to help them, but then to have this full demo in person with the position of the spine. I just appreciate that. So thank you for sharing. And I know that you are passionate about wellness and de-stressing for people and just wellness for the planet as a whole. But you have a group, I believe, online for wellness or de-stressing. Can you share a little bit about that? Or where to
Sure.
find it?
Sure. So it's a free Facebook community group, and it's called the De-Stress Community for a greater well-being. And ultimately, it's this particular group is obviously designed for adults. It's great for parents, and it gives you an opportunity just to unwind and feel better. There's some great tips and tricks and just positive quotes and lots of events that we post in there to help community. So if you want to participate, you're welcome to come and join us. Our community is really mighty, and we love to be able to support each other, just have a more resilient and happy life, and just get through those challenging times that we all face. Life has its ebbs and flows, as we spoke of the ocean waves, and when we work together in community, it really makes a powerful difference. And that, again, is part of mindfulness and community, which is a strong part of mindful practice. And yeah, it would be great for anyone to come and join. We'd love to support you in community.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jennifer, for being here today. And all of that will be linked down below. And it's such a pleasure to speak with you. And again, thank you for your passion for people and for the contribution of just health and wellness and mindfulness into families and the environment and community.
Thank you so much for giving me the time today with you and your community to be able to support. It is a great honor and privilege to be able to work together in community, because when we're together, we are mighty. Thanks again for this opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Keep in touch. Bye.
Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing all about the power of healing breath and the impact that it can have on families. And Jennifer additionally came in and shared inside of our membership community, Flourish, all about specific skills or techniques and tips that can be used to incorporate breathing and mindfulness practices with children. This is something that we're doing in support of families that have children with ADHD and going through all of the different skills to build as part of that. And we do that together as a community of parents, so that we feel connected and supported and actually build those skills that are needed on this journey. So if you're interested in joining, you can check it out or learn more at flourish.adhdwhatnow.com. See you there.